So I took a little bit of a break over the holidays. It's now into 2024, and I wanted to think about what are my next plans here for 2024. So what I've been thinking about though the last couple of weeks is just what are the overall goals? And there are two main things that I'm thinking about. One of those is going to be, what do I want to post on this channel? And correct me if I'm wrong too. If you have suggestions on what things you'd like to see me cover this next year, let me know in the comments below. But primarily that seems to be about the $2,000 to $7,000. Basically that watch right there is primarily what you guys are interested in. Even above, some of those watches like, the Submariners and the GMTs, I think are in that, somewhat in that category, but primarily the Omegas, the Tudors, the Longines, the Sinns of the world, I think are most of the meat of what you guys are interested in covering and seeing. And frankly, that's what I'm interested in buying for the most part too. This, Navitimer was typically outside that price range, but I bought it used. And I think you guys are kind of similarly minded. You're willing to buy used in order to get it in that price category because it's comfortable to wear it on a day-to-day basis. That is primarily what I'm looking at covering. Access is the other issue though. So if you guys are willing to send in your watch, I do a review, I send it back, insured. That's entirely up to you. It depends on how prized that specific watch is to you. If it's something that if you lost it, you'd be heartbroken, do not send me that watch. One, I don't want that responsibility. And two, I want to make sure that it's safe. If something happens, but if you're willing to share your watch, especially if you live in the Indianapolis area, let me know. Happy to cover those watches on this channel. Email is down below. You can also reach out to me at our Discord, which is down below, and also at my Instagram, which is also down below. So any of those measures, you can reach out, let me know. The other thing I really want to do is I'm considering going to Watches and Wonders. I have to figure out how much money I need to make the trip over there. But I'd really like to be there. I don't know if I ever shared it on the channel, but secretly my goal when I started this channel was to somehow be able to afford to go to Watches and Wonders to cover these watches for the channel. And my hope there is to basically make it feel as though you are there. So talk about what does the event look like? What's the structure? How's it organized? What does the day-to-day look like for someone that's, press there? Doing these releases, what do I get to see? How many interviews? What's the feeling in the air? Stuff like that isn't like a press person responding, but more like someone vlogging while they're there so that you get a better idea of exactly what the show feels like if you're never gonna make the trip. So aside from number one, which is what am I gonna cover on the channel? Number two is what am I looking to sort of explore on my collection side? Now it's no secret if you followed this channel, especially since the beginning, we've been doing it for almost 2 years now. I primarily look at what I already talked about, that $2,000 to $7,000 price range. It just depends on the watch. A lot of times if it gets consistent wrist time, that tends to be the overall price range that it's in. So the Explorer 2, and the Navitimer are primarily the three watches I wear. Last year was the Explorer 2, and the Pelagos. So broken record on what watches I primarily wear. When I added the collection, I try to make sure that I don't end up with too much value in the collection to the point where it doesn't feel very close to me. And it starts to feel strange to have that much money wrapped up in a watch collection. It's important for me to try and add things in the collection, but let things go when it makes sense, when I'm not wearing it as much and it's a store of value, so I sell it on. That's what happened with the Pelagos. So what I'm looking at here is to add probably one, maybe two watches this next year within that price category. The main one I'm looking at potentially rebuying is the Sinn 104. Now, I used to own this Sinn 104, and I think this is something I'll probably consider purchasing in the next couple months. I've been researching them for a little while. They haven't really come down from when I originally purchased them, but I'm looking at other Sinn watches as well, just because there's a lot of different things that they have that I like on a day wear. I am considering getting one of their watches that also still has a countdown bezel, but has a chronograph function as well. But a day date function and a countdown bezel were really helpful to me because I don't know how to manage my time sometimes, especially when I'm going to be late for something. And that countdown bezel gave me an easier way to make sure that I was on time. I talked about it a couple times when I reviewed the Pelagos FXD, same sort of thing. Countdown bezels are frankly more helpful, I think, at least for me, than a dive style bezel, just because I use it all the time for, hey, at this time I need to leave. Okay, crank it over, make sure that that's the time that the arrow is pointing to. Now I can see how many minutes I have to leave, and if I'm past that and how many minutes past that I am. That sort of thing is actually really helpful. So something to consider if you're looking at count time bezels and you think, when would I actually wear it? The answer is actually a lot, more than you think you would. But there's a few others. I don't have an Omega in the collection. I do technically have an Omega in the collection, but not really. It's an old Omega Seamaster. I've been repairing it for the last probably 9 months. I just never have enough time to get over there and work on it. There's an issue with the balance. It's not wanting to kick up. And so I'm trying to figure out what's going on there. The rest of it's already cleaned. And so that is in the other room, but because I haven't been able to fix it, I haven't been able to wear it. But I'm looking at potentially adding something from Omega, doing more reviews of Omega watches in general. Their Aquaterra, one, I did not know has a jump hour hand, meaning you can set the hour hand by the hour without actually stopping the watch, much like I do on my Explorer 2. That's pretty cool. So that actually makes it a really nice travel watch that I never even considered. I always considered a travel watch had to have a GMT hand, but like when I travel to Mexico, it's a 1 hour time difference. Or when I go skiing, it's a 2 hour time difference max. I can do that math in my head to go back home, so I don't need the GMT hand, but on the flight, it makes that little transition a lot nicer, a lot more fun. I don't know that it's that necessary, but it's fun. So that was something that I saw on the Aquaterra I thought was really interesting and cool. I haven't had a Seamaster other than I reviewed the No Time to Die, but I haven't had a hands-on a standard Seamaster 300 meter for an extended period of time, or even a Seamaster 300. So I haven't owned an Omega dive watch, and I do miss my Speedmaster, which is why I'm considering adding an Omega back in the collection. The Speedmaster is obviously the go-to answer in my head immediately, just because I loved it. And it was, my all-around watch. At the time, I think it might have even been my wife's favorite watch. I wore it constantly. And so I'm thinking about adding something like that back in. But the dive watches, the Aquaterras, a lot of different features that Omega has that I haven't really highlighted or thought about for my collection in depth. And again, any other recommendations, let me know down below. But what I'm thinking about is adding something else from maybe that brand, or there are other brands that are out there as well. But Sinn and Omega are the first two that jump out at me. I'm probably not going to buy a Tudor unless they come out with something new here this next year and it really, trips my fancy. So we'll have to see. So that is the plan for 2024. Let me know what you guys think. Any requests or comments or questions down below in the comments. See you next time. Take care.